Another story hit the timeline. Another power play hidden in the fine lines. Everybody screaming, nobody hearing truth. Young souls losing faith in the booth. They politic pain while the cameras flash. Turn communities into hashtags. Everybody divided by desire. Keep us fighting while they redraw lines. Too much noise, too much smoke in the air. Too many leaders acting like they care. But the people see the cracks now. Mask falling off, can't go back now. Nah, we see, talk that talk. And I know some days it feel hopeless. World so cold, heart so broken. What if we stop now? Who gon' stay? Who gon' fight for the next generation? They can't silence the people no more. Too much pain been buried before. Every headline opening wounds. Still we rise, still we move. Hands up high, let the truth be known. Too many hearts turn cold and stone. But the fight for tomorrow lives on. And the people suffering strong. Truth hit harder when the lies get exposed. Whole system cracking under pressure in the cold. Everybody angry, everybody online, but rage alone won't heal the mind. We need wisdom with the passion too. Can't become the thing we accusing them to do. Mirror conversations hurt the soul sometimes, but accountability the hardest kind. See the cycle repeat every year. Fear so faster than hope round here. But I still believe in people waking up, even when the road get rough. Wake up, stay strong, hold the line. This ain't left or right. It's about truth or lies. It's about people trying to survive. No fear, no fear, no fear, no fear. We still standing, still speaking, still fighting. On tomorrow. They can't silence the people no more. We done seen what the silence for. Every storm made us stronger now. Still we here and we louder now. Hands up high, let the whole world know. Truth gon' live when the lights get low. And the fight for tomorrow lives on. So the people keep singing strong. Rise up, stand tall, stand tall. We still here, the people won't fall. We still here, the people won't fall. History watching. What side you gonna stand on?
Hey y'all, what's up? It's your girl Golden. We are back with another live, y'all. We told you we got some politic updates to get into. So we're about to go ahead and jump into that. It's now 3:55 p.m., y'all. If y'all didn't check out our earlier video where we finished up our 4-part series with Alanya Von Zant and Roland Martin, It's really dope. You guys should check it out. All parts, one, two, three, and four. But yes, now we have to get back into the political sector, y'all. So we got a few things we'll be talking about. Imani is back here with me, and I'm gonna go ahead and let her come on up, and then we will go ahead and give you a brief synopsis of all the topics we'll be talking about on this live, y'all. So what's up, Imani? Thanks for coming back with me, bro. What you doing? What you doing?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. Um, I'm just going to say something, a little housekeeping thing before we start. It's my understanding that Nick the Mountain Goat and Vampy, the only content they've got is to drag your channel, talk about my accent, and basically just be very negative and an agent of chaos. Now, the thing that I find most pathetic about this is Nick is twice Vampy's age. And she's supposed to be the mature person here, supposed to bring wisdom, boundaries, and self respect. But instead, she's bringing playground behavior and, and an obsession with other people's online content. You know what, Nick? You need to get a life. I mean, what time is it in Australia that you're here dragging us and dragging what we're doing? You're pathetic. But maybe you might want to speak to the Leicester police about the DNA test that you was allegedly going to give Julia Wendell. Remember that one? You remember the McCann's fake daughter that you were involved with the Atwood channel? Perhaps you might want to fix up your statement about that and worry about that. You're pathetic.
Child, I didn't understand. I was just like, huh? But great points made. Great points made. It's a lot going down over there with the Atwoods, child.
Big,
I don't know.
sorry to tell you, a big grown ass woman, yeah, sitting up there like some little schoolgirl. You're pathetic, Nick. You're absolutely pathetic. You're supposed to be guiding Vampy. And as for you, Vampy, with your shucking and jiving and doing all this ridiculous stuff for the white folks, creating Caribbean songs to mock the same content creator that you have always been obsessed with. You need help. You need some serious help. But come and stalk the channel like Nick told you to come and get clips. Because guess what? We don't need clips of your contents because it's shite.
I had to leave the mic muted because I was cracking up. Child, I cannot. Oh, well, well, well. Well, look, let's just say some of the topics that we're going to be talking about here, wrapped around our politics, actually kind of correlates with a lot of the things that we see happening here on YouTube and with these people. It really cracks me up. Like, it really, like, oh, I laugh so hard. And I love it because laughter is good for the soul. So the behavior is really helping us because a good laugh
Exactly.
keeps the
But
doctor away.
what you know what the thing about it is, what pisses me off more than anything, can excuse my language, is the fact that they start attacking your mother.
Oh
Attacking
yeah,
your mother. Nick is in her age group. What's wrong with
yeah,
you? What's wrong with you? What
yeah.
is your trauma? Why? Why are you doing this, Nick? Vampy, she's got multitude of reasons that she does this crap. But you are a grown ass mother Clark woman. And look at you. You're a joke. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but it really pisses me off when they start attacking mama. Really, really gets, it grinds my frigging gears. A
Yeah.
big grown woman. You are, anyway, you got no life. That's why you're up now doing this foolishness with your rank self.
No, it gets to me too. Don't get me wrong. I laugh because I do think these people are very comical. But yeah, talking about somebody's mother, that is up in age, about your age, it's just like, how low really can you go? Oh, speaking of which, hey mom, what's up? What's up? You got some things you wanted to say before we start? You can unmute your mic whenever you're ready, Mom, because I know you have a few things that you want to address as well. So we can go ahead and do that before we get started. Like I said, a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about on this political coverage, it really correlates with a lot of the stuff. So, hey, Mom, what's up?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Okay.
you.
I got my two best girls up here. I know we can really knock this politics thing out, but I got a few things I want to say, short and sweet. You know what I came up with? People like Nick the Goat. I think I said that right. Mountain Goat. And Jane and the Goddess. That's trash. And we are intellectual. We're very intelligent. We're wonderful black women, and we've got no right trying to slime in the mud with them pieces of animals, because they're animals. And they're, God forgive me, here comes one of the words, they're fucking clowns. And you know what? I'm not even entertaining this shit, but if it continues to go outbound like it's going outbound, there's going to be a lot of legal papers. And it won't just be for Miss V Goddess. She's my number one. But you know what? I can add some people to that list, because we go in our lives and we do not mention these people at all. We don't come to their channels. We don't come to their lives. We say nothing about them. Yeah, we've had to tell them off in the past, but that was squashed. But if they want to continue with this stuff every day and every live, well, guess what? We got something for them too. Okay? We got something great and lovely for them too. So let's get on with our political live, do the thing like we know how to do. And don't pay this trash. They're all trash. No mind. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mama. Very well put. I'm sorry, I was so annoyed.
Yeah,
But
it's like every time
we'll
you
get
turn
on and
around,
do our stuff, because you know what? This is just a distraction, a petty little distraction from petty little people who are pathetic and have no life. No life at all. No life. Especially you, Nick. No life at all. You're a joke.
yeah, every time you turn around, it's just like, y'all at it again, like day after day after day. It's the best thing you can do is talk about other people. I just think that speaks volumes right there. And I don't know. Look, if you think that's your claim to fame, if you think that that's what gives you, relevancy, you gotta get it how you live. You know what I mean? But this nasty work and below the belt stuff, you'll see. You will see. I don't understand how these people are not paying attention to what's going on around them. If they're not paying attention to any of these other lawsuits that people have and legal measures that people are taking, it doesn't typically end well. So keep having
And
at it.
yeah,
Keep
keep
playing.
at it. Keep at it. Continued harassment, continued bullying. You carry on. See what channel you'll be able to do it on. You won't have anywhere to go soon. Carry on.
And I think it's a really bad look that people are out here, trying to drag and insult and mock people with disabilities that are handicapped, that have suffered severe health ailments. That is a protected class of people, and they have a lot of protections over them. And it's probably not in your best interest to try and make fun or talk about or drag or speak about anybody's health conditions or ailments when they are handicapped or disabled. I don't know. They don't know that. I guess they don't really understand the law, but that's the
Unless you
big
want to be
no-no.
mean to me about my disability, I'll tell you what I got for her. Get a shave before you keep changing all them wigs. Make sure you shave.
Ma,
There.
okay.
Wait, what play on that?
Anyway, we must move along with the politics.
Yeah, let's
What's up?
get on. You do your intro to the politics because otherwise we'll be here all day.
Right.
We'll be here all day.
We may can talk a little bit about it after, but we got to get on with the content. Hey, Star, thanks for coming in, Boo. How you doing? So let's go ahead and get into it, y'all. Up. No, I'm just saying. It's Friday. I'm in such a good mood today, y'all. I don't know if y'all are as well. I hope so. But I am in a really good mood. It's gonna be a good weekend. So anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and get into it. It's Friday, May 15th, 2026. And we are breaking down the stories the mainstream media is completely glossing over, right? So first and foremost, we're gonna be hitting on a few things. DL Hughley is exposing what he calls America's brutal cycle of betrayal. We'll be looking at a historic political shift as Don Lemon and D.L. Hughley break down why, I'm sorry, I lost my place, why black voters are moving toward the MAGA movement. We've got Senator Cory Booker absolutely torching a Fox host over gerrymandering. Plus, we are tracking massive ethical red flags on President Trump's personal stock trades and a leaked 60-minute interview with Benjamin Netanyahu is sending shockwaves through Washington. So let's not waste any time, y'all. Let's dive into our first segment. Now, for some additional details with this topic with DL Hughley, he absolutely cleared the room on the latest episode of his podcast, Uncertain. DL laid out a brutal historical timeline showing how America has always accepted the ultimate sacrifices of Black Americans during a crisis, only to turn around and aggressively strip away their rights the second that crisis is over. He reminded his audience a painful truth. Black soldiers were unalived side by side with Caucasian soldiers in the jungles of Vietnam, only to return home to a segregated Georgia where they couldn't even share a public restroom. The exact same thing happened after Black veterans helped defeat the Axis powers during World War II, only to come home to face the state sanctioned violence of Jim Crow. Now, fast forward to right now, 2026. DL says we are seeing the same exact playbook. He pointed directly to the South, where local governments are actively rolling back minority ballots and systemically dismantling Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. He also took a hard swing at the establishment's use of famous Black figures, calling out examples from the Nixon and Reagan eras, all the way up to the modern voices like Stephen A. Smith and Killer Mike, arguing that celebrity voices are being weaponized to pacify the community and sell policies that actually do the harm. But DL didn't just complain. He offered an outside the box strategy. He issued a challenge to young Black athletes, telling them they need to start gerrymandering the offensive lines of major Southern universities like Alabama. He noted that without Black athletic talent, the multi-billion-dollar SEC is immediately reduced to nothing more than a rugby league. It's about leveraging economic power where it hurts the establishment the most, in the pockets. So the bottom line here is that cultural inclusion is an illusion of safety. Just because Black athletes dominate the field or Black celebrities get major platforms doesn't mean the community has systemic political protection. DL's point is clear. Minority political leverage has to be exercised through economic and structural pressure, like withholding athletic labor, rather than relying on empty legislative promises that can be stripped away by a judge at any moment. So y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the chat. And per usual, we're going to hear directly from DL Hughley. So let me go ahead and get this all set up here, y'all. We will be listening to this audio. And you
And
could go
if
ahead
you
and make.
on this first video, Golden, if you stop it at 11 minutes, that's the first clip that we need to talk about.
Yeah, we got to speed this one up because you know the intro. Sometimes they talk about other topics and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna go ahead
no.
and
If you
clip
play it up to 11 minutes, and then we won't play the whole video because it's about 40 minutes, but there's some key parts. But if you play the first part up to 11 minutes, and then we'll have a chat.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right, y'all. Let's get into it. Let me put this up on the screen for us to hear together, and then we will go ahead and do our commentary after that. All right, y'all. Give me just a sec to get everything planned, and we will meet y'all in the chat. All right, here we go. Here we go.
Hey, now it is me, DL Hughley. This is Uncertain. We just keep coming back. We are.
We can't be stopped.
I don't know if this, what is us, our 18, 19
19.
show? 19. The Lucky 19, Kellogg 19.
Kellogg.
And you know, it's so funny because we do this once a week and there's so many things to get to in the course of a week. But I would think the thing that pops out at me the most, not with, you know, any other, with a sense of urgency or anything, is the Kevin Hart roast, and specifically Tony Hinchcliffe telling this joke right here.
You've done good, though, Kevin. The black community is so proud of you. Right now, George Floyd is looking up at us all, laughing so hard that he can't breathe.
And here's the thing. The roasts come from the Dean Martin roast, right? And this is...
And I thank you for your wonderful introduction. You would love the evening if you knew you were here.
There's no booing. There's no booing. If there's another outburst, we're going to let Bob Hope get up and do his jokes.
And those roasts were full of people that really dug each other and hung out with each other, and there was affinity. Even though those roasts made me wince sometime, even though I was a kid, it never made me cringe. First off, I'm never going to tell somebody what they should do, what jokes they should tell, what they should listen to or not listen to. I've defended any number of people. I defended Michael Richards when he told a joke, or I've defended Bill Maher when he said Nick. I defended, you know, Don Imus is right, because I'm a huge proponent of free speech. But I knew when I saw that roast and I saw the lineup for that roast, I knew we would be here. Like you put Tony what's his name? Tony
Hinchcliffe, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that you can't take a guy who was 2 years ago, he was at a Nazi rally, and now he's with the nigga that was on Jumanji. that was not a, you know, you knew what it was going to be. And I can tell, you know how you know that he attempted to be incendiary? Because George Floyd happened almost 6 or 7 years ago. A comic ain't really telling a joke from 7 years ago. He wanted to be incendiary and he wanted to do that night. And when people say things like, I want to express, when a white dude says he wants freedom, you know, he wants freedom of speech and all that kind of stuff, it's really just to say nigga. And to tell jokes like that. And I think, I don't understand, because I'm not one of those people who knocks comedy or polices comedy, but I don't know how those audiences got together. How you got a dude who MAGA loves and a dude who did Ride Along in the same, you know what I mean?
What do you feel about the fact that like David Lucas probably wrote that joke?
I remember we covered that joke on our radio show.
Nigga try to ruin the whole show, man. All these fucking good ass white people at my show. And you wanted to show them the reason George Floyd got his neck nailed on. Don't ooh at that joke. It's just a joke, man. I would have never kneeled on George Floyd's neck. I would have shot that nigga. That was way too long. Oh my God. I think I just canceled the rest of my black fans. Hey, baby, next week I'm performing at a KKK rally.
I think that when you tell a George Floyd joke that is 7 years ago, you do that to offend. you do that to be incendiary, not to be funny, not to be edgy. When you reference a very painful part for Black people, and particularly when you got a Black host, it is for a reason. It's for effect. First off, I think he's a racist. I think he plays fast and loose. That doesn't mean that he doesn't have the right to do comedy. I knew what the result of it would be, and I don't understand, what the end goal of it was. Unless it was this.
Well, I'm going to knock it for you. Because here's the thing. There is nothing funny. And I get it. You and I go back and forth all the time about you being a comedian, and some things are joke worthy. There is nothing funny about a man who was murdered before our eyes. And a lot of people in the community have not gotten over that, including the family. On top of that, there's a certain group of people in this country who didn't see anything wrong with what happened to George Floyd. So when you stand up there in front of all of those people on Netflix to be played over and over and over again, and you find something to giggle about, fuck you forever.
But Kevin Hart said it was okay.
Thank you.
He had to say it was his roast. He had to say it was okay.
Okay, Kevin, fuck you too forever.
And if you're telling that joke in front of those people, my problem is I don't care what you say. Like I said, I'm a huge proponent of free speech. I don't get why those audiences. Hinchcliffe has a large audience, so does Hart. They didn't need to be together to do it. I think it was for the shock value, and I would respect that argument more if it was all about. See, the thing that I'm repulsed by is the audience that Hinchcliffe has cultivated is the MAGA audience, right? Their leader just got offended at a joke and tried to get a dude fired for telling a joke, right? He tried to get a dude fired. Meanwhile, a couple of weeks before, he had made what they termed a joke about the Obamas being apes. Then this same group of people who are his fans, the MAGA fans, they got offended at Charlie Kirk and things that were said about Charlie Kirk and tried to get them fired. So it can't be these are just jokes, but only on one side.
And I do think the David Lucas thing should be explored more, because at the end of the day, he's gotten in trouble for the same George Floyd punchline and pushing it. And then Tony made a George Floyd punchline the last roast.
Gronk, I'm happy you could take a break from writing Santa letters to be here today. You look like the final boss in George Floyd, the video game.
It's weird because it's one of these things that you kind of mentioned where they use Black folks to then be even more offensive and push
and that's all fine. I'm not knocking anything. I didn't like what they did. See, to me, I don't watch things that I know. When I saw those dudes on the lineup, I knew what would happen. I knew how it would feel. I respect their right and will fight for their right to have an opinion and to tell jokes. Those aren't just jokes. When you tell the same joke over and over again, particularly you do it at the Forum in front of Black people, you want an effect. You want it to look edgy. You want to do it. Now, Kevin Hart, to me, he has the right to do it. I didn't understand why. I thought, he's one of the biggest comics that ever existed. He could have had any number of people. Why that guy?
Is it because he's mainstream now?
I don't know.
Maybe not his majority audience is
Hinchcliffe is not
Black?
mainstream. He's not mainstream.
He is
well, that's the same. Well, you know what? So it's MAGA. If he's mainstream, MAGA's mainstream. I don't understand why an audience, to me, I could never imagine working on the same panel, on the same situation with a dude who I believe to be a Nazi, and I do. I believe him to be that way. I used to, I think that a lot of those guys went down to Austin and got in that Rogan clique and just started talking fast and loose with their mouth, and it was all geared about, because like I said this earlier, when freedom of speech means you just want to say nigga. And I can understand and respect all of that. That's your purview. You can do whatever you want. I don't understand what Kevin's end of it was. Kevin never really says anything about anything. He's not, he's not a comic that really mentions social events or is involved politically at all. But you put people on that have dabbled in it, and you saw what was happening. And I don't know if it was to be edgy, but I find stuff like that repulsive.
Well, the other thing is, I think that it's so much bigger than that, is we know that most of that stuff was in a teleprompter. That means that multiple people saw it before it aired, right? Now, let me ask you something. You've told me many times that you've been booked to do shows or to do, even in a lot of your stand-up specials. It goes through a lot of people, and they've told you, you can't tell this joke. You can't say this joke because a certain group of people would be offended. Could you have gotten up there and told a Holocaust joke? Absolutely
No,
not.
of course not. But
so why was this okay?
Because Kevin Hart said it was.
And to further back you up, like I think when George Floyd happened, you know, it's one thing if these people actually cared and then they're just jokes in all directions.
Right.
But when George Floyd happened, all these comedians were silent.
Right.
And at the end of the day, they were worried about offending their racist white audience.
Right.
You can ask Donnell Rawlings about like, hey, let's be him calling every comedian being like, what can we do? How can we mobilize? How can we use comedy to help this cause? And most mainstream white comedians were like, let's stay silent. Let's shut Donnell down. Let's not come together.
Right. I believe, this is my personal belief, that there is a war on black people that is being perpetrated by MAGA and the MAGA acolytes and their ilk. And I believe helping them and giving them normalization of any type is giving comfort and aid to somebody who has your worst interests at heart. I don't understand why you had to do it. I think there are a ton of funny people you could have used. I think you did it for whatever reason. You don't have to justify it to me or to anybody else. But I think that it comes off as bad as everybody thought it might.
Yeah.
I don't get how that worked.
So the other funny thing about the Shane Gillis roast, right, is that I don't know if you guys remember, but we were going to have like my friend Nick Mullen like right with us in the beginning, and he missed like every writing meeting we had for 4 months.
Right.
What a piece of shit to go write for Shane Gillis and write all that racist shit and miss like fucking 15 weeks of uncertain meetings.
Yeah, I don't think those jokes would have went over here.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Maybe it's best he did do that.
Everything happens for a reason.
I feel like we need a public apology there.
I think the Kevin Hart roast is safer than our writer's room. I think. I gotta tell you, I'm so excited to share C15 from Fatty 15.
Yeah. There we go. So we'll pause it right there. Go ahead, Iman.
Yeah, the first part was about the George Floyd joke, and I'm with Dio on this. I don't think there's a good time to make a joke about a man we saw unalived in front of our faces on our TVs or wherever we watched it. I don't think there's any joke in there. And the fact is that comedian, Tony Hinchcliffe, I think he's the same one that was at the MAGA rally in New York, who was making those jokes about the Puerto Rican community. So you know what you're going to get. So my question is, why would Kevin Hart have him do a roast? Because the question is about Kevin Hart. Why would he let him roast him? Knowing full well what his history is and be okay with that joke. Because the family's not okay with that joke. The family has come out and talked about that joke. And why is it okay for some people to participate and normalize rhetoric that's harmful or disrespectful to Black communities? It crosses a moral line, and it reflects on the willingness to align with political movements like MAGA or an audience that minimizes racial injustice. And basically, some people are willing to overlook harm to Black communities for their proximity to power, attention, or political alignment, just like we were talking about now. Some sellouts on particular channels are okay with white people dragging people in this community continuously on a day-to-day basis, simply because, number one, she's obsessed with everybody, and number two, those women think they have the right to come into a sector that is mainly Black people and think they can freely drag people because she is shucking and jiving and patting them on the back and saying it's okay because she's got some obsessive jealousy with with other people. It's the same difference. Proper Stevens in this community. And that's what I got to say.
I absolutely agree. I've just taken my time a little bit so I can, I want to speak calmly and I want to speak very clear and direct. That is exactly why I thought, hey, people, they really line it up for you. Considering all that we have been hearing through like the weeks and what we even heard previously before even coming on the live, and seeing how these people move and operate and tying it into what we also see happening in our entertainment sectors, the A-list entertainment sectors, like Hollywood, comedians, musicians, and also in the government and politics. There is a correlation with all of these things. And what DL said, I believe that most people are waking up and starting to see it. And I absolutely agree. There is some type of attack when it comes to Black people, not just in this country, but also globally. But majorly, we see a lot of this happening within the United States, right? And just like you said, the audacity for outsiders and individuals to come into places and spaces, right? And be as nasty and disrespectful as they are. And even have the audacity to make it seem as though they run or they own those spaces. I'm not understanding why people are not downloading and seeing what that looks like and what you can compare that to when it comes to historical times, right? Individuals that feel as though they own the land, they own the establishment, and they own and can control and treat the Black people on it and in it in any type of way that they want. Talk to them in any type of way that they want. Make jokes that are disrespectful, very low vibrational, because if you are a real comedian, you are really funny, you would not have to use something like that to get a chuckle. There's nothing funny about that joke. There's nothing funny about a lot of jokes that we see people even here on these platforms making and laughing about. But like you said, one of our biggest problems is the inside source. The inside source is individuals that we, now I don't know how they see themselves, but we perceive to be Black, one of us, understanding of the struggle in the community, right? But they are the ones that are setting up these platforms and allowing these individuals to come in and be the way that they're being towards our people, a group of people. And for the life of me, I don't understand why we're not seeing history repeating itself. It's very much virtual now because everything is done on this computer, it's done online, right? On these social media platforms. It's not done on the plantations no more, right? No, because we don't have those in a sense physically anymore. In some places, we can get into that at a later date and a later time. There are actually still some, but overall, nah. We have virtual plantations and it is operating the same exact way. And like DL Hughley said, these people are people that allow this to happen, right? And think it's okay. And sometimes even set it up and orchestrate it. It is because they want to be in close proximity to what? White supremacy, white people. Money, whatever they can get out of it that's going to benefit them, they will get it at their own people's expense, right? There's no pride in that. There's no integrity in that. And so when people say like, look, we're losing and we already have lost an ultimate level of respect for individuals from our own community who act like that. And we definitely have no respect for the outsiders that think that they can come in and talk and treat people like that. And my whole point is with this as well, the response that you get when you are someone who speaks up against it and fights against it and call it out for what it really is, now it's being made out that you are doing something wrong. Something is wrong with you. You're saying something wrong. You're hateful. You're the racist. You're the colorist. I don't understand any of that because by definition alone, that is the exact opposite. And it's just like we are living in some type of upside down parallel right now where people are not understanding. Like when you call that type of stuff out and you fight against it, how do you get labeled to be the very thing that that person is demonstrating that they are? You cannot deflect from what you are and how you move and operate and put that on the very person who is calling out your poor, nasty, racist, inappropriate behavior. And, did you have anything more to add to that, Imani? Because that's all I got to say for that part right there. And then we can keep going.
No, but if you go to the next, that was well said, well said. But if you go to the next timestamp, it's at 12. I think it's 12:25. But well said, Golden.
Yeah, got to skip around,
Because
because
people need to understand, I'm a black woman first and foremost. Yeah, doesn't matter where I was born. I'm a black woman. Just remember that.
And the audacity for people to sit up here and make fun of someone's accent and how they speak while carrying and utilizing accents of their own. But why
I'm
is
not
that?
even, you know what? The funny thing is, Golden, that stuff doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the age group of the people that are encouraging it. What bothers me is their culture, that they think that they can target a senior black woman. They can mock her spirituality in a sector that they are guests in. Just like I'm a guest in the American black tea sector. But remember, first and foremost, I'm a black woman.
Right,
You have
right.
never walked in my shoes. You don't know what it's like. But you have Miss Shucker and Jiver to encourage you and say, well done, that's okay. Why? Because she's obsessed, because she can't be what she wants to be. There's a word for those people. There's a word for those people. We call them bounties in the UK. You guys use a C word for someone like that. But anyway, let's keep it moving because
Yeah,
next one is 12:25.
got it. Okay, here we go.
We used that word last week, apoplectic, about the fact that the Voters' Rights Act was gutted. And I said this, they suss out selfish niggas like pigs pick truffles. You could talk about the Boyce Watkins, the Dr. Umars, you could talk about the Charlemagne's, but earlier in the 60s and 70s, they used the Jim Browns, the Sammy Davis Jr., they used those people. Look at what happened as a result. Nixon had a cadre of people like that. What happened to black people? It was the war on drugs. When Reagan used black people, what happened to them? They became the symbol for welfare. You didn't have the foresight to know this man would be detrimental to us. I don't respect anything else you have to say.
You can't blame Stevie Wonder for not seeing it coming.
No.
You know what?
and Charlemagne, who I dig a lot, and we've talked a lot about a lot of things, called me. And I said, I love you. He said, well, and I respect you. He said, well, why would you lump me in with these people? And then we talked for a very long time. And I had to, what I think is, I made the mistake. I think that we have often talked about people speaking in black in terms of black and white, but Charlemagne speaks in gray. He's very nuanced. And he was making the distinction that he had never told people to stay home. But he said, that America, like his point was that the country had said clearly they didn't want Biden or Trump, later on Kamala. They didn't want these two people, so the couch would be an option. He says that he never said to do it. He just pointed out the fact that was an option. And I said, I got to respect the fact I didn't give deference to the fact that you speak in nuanced terms. And I think a lot of people didn't, but I think he did. And we went back and forth about this, Jasmine. And you think that
I think a lot of people don't understand what nuance is. So yeah, of course, I understand there's black and white and there's also gray, but there are some people who look up to you on your platform. And when you say things like, I think both of them are trash.
What's with the iron in your neck today?
Because
what's
when
with the
you look
steel in your neck? I didn't do one thing.
I got you, but I'm saying when you look at where we are right now, and we saw this coming,
right?
We knew what was going to happen.
Right.
I understand all the people who were like, hold your vote, make it count, or both of them are trash. With so much at stake, we don't have time for your nonsense and the shenanigans. And now you're trying to walk it back. Charlamagne, I love you. We've known each other for a long time. I get it, but you're wrong on this. Okay? And you know I'll tell you that. You're wrong.
I didn't get the impression that he was trying to walk it back. I think that and I talked to him for 2 hours. I got the impression that he was trying to make a distinction. That the things he said wasn't to tell people not to do a thing. It was to say that if you don't change these things, this will become a bigger option, which is people becoming so apathetic, which did happen.
Correct.
People got so apathetic that but he said that wasn't a result of anything he said. It was a result of the way they were feeling about things.
Come on now. How many followers does Charlamagne have? How many people listen to their radio show? You have a huge platform. And that's what Whoopi was trying to tell him when he appeared on The View and said both candidates are trash. Well, these are what we have to choose from. I don't think he said
that.
See this house in Texas? Let me show you how I invested into it with just a few $100s.
The
reality is I think both candidates are trash. I say Democrats are the cowards, and I say the couches voter apathy. And I feel like, right now it looks like, voter apathy may win. But whose fault is that? Is that our fault or is it the candidate?
Camera's that one.
This one, that one, and
right,
this
well,
one.
Yeah.
And I love Charlamagne.
All right. Wait. I'd never seen that before. And I think it's fucked up that y'all would roll that out in the middle of the show and that I never saw it before.
I'm just saying.
I do think... Well, I don't know what to say.
To have some
I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say. To have some friends. I feel like we talk a lot of shit on this podcast. And while we're at it, I'd also like to keep going backstage at Kill Tony. So if we can leave that to I'm not going to pretend like I wasn't there last Thursday.
But I will say this. I do think, because, of course, I love Charlamagne.
But he did come out and
he did.
Listen, that is a video I didn't know existed. I think that there are a lot of black people, I would say, feel like they're under attack. I think that a lot of people feel as if, their history is being attacked, their livelihoods are being attacked, their rights are being attacked. And anybody who I think it's one of the things in an off way why people were angry by what happened at that roast. I think people feel giving comfort to a mindset or a mentality or a movement that means you harm. What I feel like is that a man I respect like Charlamagne, and have talked to him numerous times about any number of things, I think that he does have nuanced approaches. I didn't necessarily see this one. So
do you feel like helping Andrew Schultz and Dr. Umar is nuanced though?
No, I don't. And I've said that before. I think to me, it's another one of those things. I could never see giving aid and comfort to people who have worked with people who have done harm to people that look like me. It's not, I think it's that simple. Like to me, I think that when I saw Killer Mike say this,
let me tell you a big reason I would never vote for a prosecutor, because you were a fucking prosecutor. That's it. If you were a prosecutor, you was just on the wrong side. So as for me and my household, we vote for defenders, we vote for public servants, but we don't vote for prosecutors because I know you've been a part of the system that's already fucked me over. Why would I vote for you? That doesn't make any sense.
Here's the thing. When you say that you could never vote for a prosecutor, but your father is a police officer, that is the kind of example of the devil speak he often engages in. It's talking out of both sides of your neck. How the hell can you have a police officer that you obviously loved and respected and have alluded to, like when there have been times of upheaval, you would talk about your father, but then say you could never vote for a prosecutor? Who do you think that your father, after arrests are made, who does he turn that over to? Prosecutors. And if you think that prosecutors are part of the system, the foot soldiers, the inflection point is a police officer. They're the very first point of contact, right? So I think either you meant it, which I think would be weird, or you were just saying it to say something. And I think now we're in a time right now where people are understanding that people who help or who prop up, or like even the things that you talked about Charlemagne and you showed me that video. Even the people who said things like neither one of them are, but when a black man says neither one of these things are the same, they're in essence saying don't vote for the person that look like me.
But I also think what we are experiencing right now is the old adage of hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of ways, people thought, and again, whether it's Charlemagne, I can't really speak about Killer Mike because I don't know him, but I know a lot of people thought they were doing the right thing. And you can think you're doing the right thing, but it can be, the timing can be wrong. We've had that happen a number of times.
Do you think a lot of people thought they were doing the right thing?
Well, I think yeah.
I think they were doing the
I don't think that Charlemagne had any malice. I don't think he was trying to do anything bad. I just think he had, in many ways, a good point about checking out who you are voting for and what's in your best interest. But when you say things like both of them are trash, then it begins to hold hands with other people who are saying, hold the vote, stay home, just don't cast, And I think right now, a lot of people are saying, this shit is worse than we thought it was going to be.
If you didn't have foresight enough to know that this was coming, because nothing is happening, they telegraphed everything that was happening. I never thought, what I think has happened, I think that Obama, to a lot of black people, was the end of something, and to a lot of other people in this country, was the beginning of the end of something. To a lot of black people, they would call it the post-racial era, and then they thought it was the end of racism. And a lot of other people thought it was the beginning of the end of their supremacy. So that, like, if you go BCE, CE, like all these eras, there was before Obama and there was after.
Yeah. Well, I think because if you think about
this is the result. All of these things are happening after, because a lot of I remember people, and I think a lot of people got very comfortable. And I think a lot of people, like to your point, a lot of people like the Eddie Glauds and the Killer Mikes and the Nina Turners got to have this thing because things were better than they were, and it could never be as bad. There was a sense of comfort they had, and when they changed, there was. It's almost like when you play musical chairs and then the music stops, you ain't got one.
Work confidently while on SSDI with Allsup Employment Services. We can help you participate and find a job that's right for you. We're authorized by the Social Security Administration as a ticket-to-work service provider.
This woman in Kansas City searched her name and found $6.1 million in unclaimed money. Like, what?
Wait, you don't know about unclaimed money?
Yeah. Well, I also think in many ways we thought our hallelujah would be stronger than their hate, and it wasn't. Because in the end, you had a lot of older people who never thought they'd see the day that there would be a black man to ascend to the highest office in the land. So we thought Martin Luther King Jr. was right. We did overcome. But because our hallelujah was so loud, their hate got even stronger. And they were like, not today.
When you can talk black people into doing nothing as their best result, you win. Nothing. Nothing's better than, and that's never been, like I remember in that movie, it was a movie called World War Z, and he broke into these people's houses and he said, movement is life. Even in the ads, they talked about, people die of shame. I think when people are static and not moving forward, which is what the whole apathy and the couch as an option thing was encouraging people not to do anything. I think that's how they win. When people don't move, when people don't try, when people don't do anything. And I think that is why people play their part in convincing themselves that we had arrived to the place that now we get to just rest on our laurels and not have to do anything.
All right. And in terms of Killer Mike, there are byproducts of running them jewels fast. So dumb.
Now, if that makes it cut, some of the shit I said didn't, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. I also think that when you're in a situation that we're in right now, there are things I don't think that the methodology that was used in the
All right, y'all. So we'll stop it right there and take a quick commentary break. Okay. So Imani, what do you feel about what we heard there on that portion?
Well, I thought the Charlemagne clip was funny because obviously they had the receipt, so it was funny how it was funny how he was taken aback by the receipt. Um, yeah, I agree with what DL said, and what the lady said. I don't know what her name is. The key thing about having a huge following, you have to be careful what you say because any reckless conversation, people don't Deal was saying. Charlemagne's talking in nuance. Some people don't understand nuance. They take it as black and white. If he said they're both trash, then they decided they're not voting for anybody, which was more of a danger because that is how they won. That is how they win, by people not voting. The key thing is, we need, now it's all coming to fruition and we're looking at voting rights, representation, and the impact of all this rhetoric. They did what they said they were going to do, Project 2025. And the same thing with Killer Mike. How the hell are you going to say you're not going to vote for a prosecutor when your dad's a cop? I mean, that's just plain stupidity. And once again, a casual, reckless statement. People are not thinking, well, his dad's a cop. The cops work with the prosecutors. That in itself was ridiculous. But you know, and also the fact that, the Joe Public has this loyalty to celebrity. I'm more harken back to what Malcolm X said about sometimes, not all the time, sometimes putting these celebrities on a pedestal and thinking that they can teach us stuff when they're not really that bothered, and a lot of them vote with their pockets because a lot of them voted for the Republicans because of the tax situations, and it's only coming out now. So yeah, we do have to be careful about the messaging. We do have to be careful and know that we have a large following and people take us literally. Um, and like I said, I did think it was really funny that he didn't believe that Charlemagne had said that. And my God, what a pink suit that was he was wearing on The View. But that's all I really got to say. And I think, after this, we can move on to other videos. People can go and watch that. DL Hughley's channel is good. I think he does 1 or 2 videos a week. And
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the few celebrities who I think has really become invested in the political situation, and he speaks openly again and again about his views on the politics and the policies.
I absolutely agree. It's not with anybody for that matter. You may not always agree with everything they say, but overall, I like to hear his commentary when it comes to politics on his podcast. And I like the fact that he makes it a point to talk about it because we need to talk about it. We need to be educated about it. A lot of like what you were saying also when it comes to Killer Mike, as far as his commentary about prosecutors and his own father being a police officer. One of the things that we need to pay attention to when it comes to a lot of these things is a lot of people don't know like the background of these people that they support, they uplift, they root for. They like their music, they like their swag and their style, but they don't do all of their research as far as to know deeply, who these people are, what their background is, maybe even who their parents are. I think a lot of people didn't even know that Killer Mike's father was a police officer. And so when he says that, it goes way over people's heads, and they either agree or they are being persuaded to agree and see things the way he's saying it, not even knowing the nuance of the background and how, like you said, it makes no absolute sense for you to say something like that. But again, when you are a puppet And when you are someone who is just using the, talking points that someone is telling you to use, because there's benefit in it for you to say these things and convince, your mass following of people and supporters in one direction versus the other, then this is what you get. And, these celebrities are often used this way. We've seen it play out time and time again. Look at MAGA Minaj, okay? She's over there holding hands with Donald Trump as if they're in love and about to walk down the aisle, okay? It's like, come on, and the mass following that these artists have and that their platforms have, and the people that will just blindly listen to and be, influenced by whatever it is the heck that they do or comes out of their mouth, what they stand for and what they talk about. There's too many people that are just so quick to get on the horse when it comes to that, instead of doing their research, instead of understanding that, let that person be exactly what they are. They are an entertainer. They are a rapper. They are a singer, an actress, an actor. That's what they do. That's what you like them for. You don't have to rely on them to bring you your political education and information. One, you should be doing that research for yourself. And two, I think it's, much better for you to listen to people who are actually heavily engaged in politics and care about the roots of it and the ins and outs of it, instead of just, being someone who can be paid to take a certain side and push a certain narrative. So go ahead, Imani.
Yeah, and really, what he's reacting to and asking questions about is why some Black Americans support political movements that undermine Black political power and civil rights. And, he talks about the policy decisions that conflict with the interests of Black communities. The reason why I like this kind of video is that he uses a lot of humor and commentary to point out the contradictions between public statements and real world impacts. And he also talks about identity representation and how political movements use certain voices for validation, like you said, Mega Minaj, Killer Mike. But people have to think about the broader impact of these systemic issues and take accountability for not voting, for sitting down on your couch and playing PlayStation, and understand how political choices affect voting rights and long-term community outcomes. It's the long-term outcomes. Look at what's going on now. But that's it. And I think, people should go and listen to the whole video. Like I said, we don't have all the time to play it all today, but it was a good video. So where are we off to next?
Okay, so we're getting off to the races now. We're going to be like we typically like to do on the lives. It's not just about what's going on in U.S. politics. It's about what's going on worldwide. And one of the platforms that we can rely on to bring a lot of great information when it comes to that is Democracy Now! And so we're going to go ahead now and tap into the updates from today, May 15th, 2026, the top U.S. and world headlines reported from Democracy Now! That is not a very long video. It's about 13 minutes. So I think we'll be able to get through the entire thing. But if you guys have not checked out that platform, I would suggest you check them out as well. Subscribe, become a member to the channel, and really stay informed what is going on worldwide when it comes to our politics, and the government. It all is actually connected more than we know and we understand. But once you fully grasp the understanding of politics and pay close enough attention to it, you'll see that we all are connected more than we are separate when it comes to it. So that'll be the next thing we'll get into, y'all. Let me go ahead and get that up on the stage. We'll listen to it together and then we can meet in the chat. So these will be a few different topics and updates as of today when it comes to global politics. So let's go ahead and get into it and see y'all in the chat in just a minute.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The House of Representatives has rejected another effort to rein in President Trump's ability to wage war against Iran. On Thursday, House members failed to advance an Iran war powers resolution on a tied vote of 212 to 212. After Democrat Jared Golden of Maine joined most Republicans in opposition. It was the third failed attempt by House Democrats to end Trump's attacks on Iran. This comes as NBC News reports the Pentagon's considering renaming Operation Epic Fury Operation Sledgehammer in a bid to circumvent a 60-day limit under the War Powers Act for the president to order military strikes without congressional approval. On Thursday, the head of the U.S. Central Command, Admiral Brad Cooper, appeared before the Senate Armed Services Committee, where he dismissed reports of civilian deaths from U.S. attacks on Iran. This is Cooper being questioned by New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand.
The subject of civilian casualties is a particular passion of mine. We pay attention to it. We follow all the procedures and have gone above and beyond to, in my case, personally warn the Iranian people of several instances during conflict where they were being potentially used as human targets.
If they've been warned, how did we then bomb 22 schools?
There's no indication that we have that has been corroborated.
How many schools have we bombed?
There is one active civilian casualty investigation from the 13,629 munitions.
So how do you explain the publicly available information that 22 schools have been hit and multiple hospitals?
There's no way that we can corroborate that. No indication of that whatsoever, Senator.
Foreign ministers from the BRICS group of nations have gathered in India's capital, New Delhi, with the issues of Iran and Strait of Hormuz high on the agenda. On Thursday, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi addressed the summit, appealing to BRICS countries to help resist U.S. and Israeli attacks.
To virtually everyone in this room, our resistance against U.S. bullying is not an unfamiliar battle. So many of us encounter slight variations of the same repugnant coercion. It is high time for us to jointly step up and work towards making clear that those practices belong in the dustbin of history. Today, our nations are closer to one another than ever before, and we cannot ignore the common and dangerous challenge we all face.
President Trump's departed China after a two-day state visit to Beijing, where he met with President Xi Jinping. Their meeting failed to secure a breakthrough in efforts to forge a U.S. peace deal with Iran or to reopen traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. On the flight back from China, President Trump told reporters he has not yet decided on whether he will move forward with a new $14 billion arms package for Taiwan. During their talks, Xi warned Trump that differences over Taiwan could lead to conflict between China and the United States. CIA Director John Ratcliffe traveled to Havana on Thursday to meet with Cuban officials as the Trump administration ramps up pressure on Cuba. Ratcliffe's trip came a day after Cuba announced it's run out of diesel and fuel oil due to the U.S. blockade and sanctions. For decades, the CIA has carried out covert operations inside Cuba, from orchestrating the Bay of Pigs invasion to repeatedly attempting to assassinate the late leader Fidel Castro. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is reportedly taking steps to indict Castro's 94-year-old brother, Raul, who served as Cuban president from 2008 to 2018. In related news, more than 30 House Democrats have signed a letter urging the Trump administration not to take military action against Cuba and to lift the blockade. On Lebanon's national news agency reports an Israeli double-tap strike on a car earlier today killed 2 men and damaged 3 ambulances. It followed an overnight bombing by Israel that killed 4 people in a house in the town of Haruf. UNICEF reports at least 59 children in Lebanon have been killed or wounded by Israeli strikes over the past week, despite a U.S.-brokered ceasefire that was supposed to have taken effect in April. The latest attacks came as Lebanese and Israeli officials in Washington began a third round of U.S.-brokered direct talks on Thursday. Hezbollah is not participating. In Jerusalem, Israeli nationalists chanted death to Arabs and may your villages burn on Thursday as they joined a state-sponsored march near the Damascus Gate in the Old City to mark the 59th anniversary of Israel's capture and annexation of East Jerusalem. Several journalists were harassed and assaulted as mobs of Israelis attacked Palestinians in Jerusalem's Muslim quarter, vandalizing storefronts and throwing items at bystanders. This comes as the UN Children's Fund, UNICEF, said Thursday, Israeli soldiers and settlers have killed 70 Palestinian children in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem since early 2025, amounting to around one child killed per week. Another 850 children were injured by UNICEF by Israeli attacks during that period. This is UNICEF spokesperson James Elder.
March 2026 saw the highest number of Palestinians injured by settler attacks in the last 20 years. And we're seeing attacks become increasingly coordinated. So documented incidents include children shot, stabbed, children beaten, and children pepper sprayed.
Today, Palestinians around the world are commemorating what they call Nakba Day. Nakba means the catastrophe in Arabic. It was 78 years ago that over 750,000 Palestinians were violently displaced from hundreds of towns and villages in Palestine, and thousands more killed during the creation of the State of Israel. After headlines, we'll speak with Mohammed Shahada, writer and analyst from Gaza. Then we'll speak with Israeli-American Holocaust scholar Omer Bartov. His new book, What Went Wrong, Israel. In Ukraine, a Russian missile attack on a Kyiv apartment building has killed at least 24 people. It was one of the deadliest Russian attacks on Kyiv since the war began. The dead included 3 children. Another 47 people were injured. Meanwhile, a massive fire broke out at one of Russia's largest oil refineries following a Ukrainian drone attack. A separate drone strike targeted a Russian gas plant. The head of the U.S. border.
All right, so we're going to just go ahead and split this one in half. So about 6 minutes and 6 minutes and do our commentaries like that. So as far as the first few topics, because typically how they break it down is they just go back to back to back to back to back. So it's a lot of topics. It's all grouped in and they go through it very quickly. That's why the videos are so short. So for the first half that we heard, a lot of different topics that were brought up, and this is global. These are things that are happening all over the world. So Imani, I'll let you go first. Are there any that you wanted to talk about and chime in on that stood out the most, or you want to go through each one by one? Because I know it's a lot of them.
Well, I'll just comment on a couple of things, really. It's the fact that a Democrat crossed the aisle, and so they couldn't get the War Powers Act put in place. The thing is, if this man is not brought under control, he's going to keep doing whatever he wants. You know, what next? Cuba. We're talking Cuba. There is something going on in Ecuador that I don't even think people know about, and has been going on for a good couple of months, that they've got allegedly they've got troops on the ground there fighting a war against rugs, so to speak. This is, you know, these are the checks and balances that were supposed to be in place. And here you have a house that refuses to use the powers that they were given, that people put them in their position to do. I mean, where does he go next? For me, I just don't understand. You know, these people are paid to represent the people, and I think they seem to have forgotten they represent the people put them in the house. There is that. There's the other stuff where we've had aid workers and people who can't get food in to places like Gaza and Lebanon, and aid workers getting allegedly kidnapped and tortured. This as well. I mean, the war crimes that have been going on throughout this debacle of an illegal war, and once again, when does it end? Apart from that, I'm just disappointed that, a Democrat crossed the aisle to stop them putting the war power in place that should have been in place anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all really for me.
Yeah, no, I exactly agree because, that's the thing. All of this useless and unnecessary madness that goes on, on these social media platforms, we're not realizing and on these social media platforms, what I think is the greatest thing about it is we do connect with one another from all over the world globally, right? But each and every one of us have our own struggles that's going on right within, the soil of our countries. And wrapped around the political structure and the governmental structure is a lot of severe things and changes and shifts and wars, right, that are happening that are affecting people and families and lives. And those are the things that I think we often overlook and not take seriously enough. And, we hear a little bit of the things when, it's trending and they push it through to the mainstream media. And then people are mad for about 2 days. And then they move right back on to the, madness and the craziness as far as fighting on social media platforms. So just like you spoke about, we seen that there were, the protests, the innocent protests and peaceful protests that were happening, not just here in the United States, but in many places when it comes to the, issues that were happening in Gaza and Lebanon, right? So what they try and tell you sometimes is actually opposite from what's really going on. There's supposed to be a ceasefire when it comes to all of that. But according to the reports from the UNICEF, ongoing Israeli military strikes have unalived or wounded 59 children in just one single week, severely undermining a recently brokered ceasefire agreement, meaning these agreements are weightless. They mean nothing. You're supposed to stop when it comes to a ceasefire. Ceasefire. It literally means that. Stop. And there are agreements being made, but despite those agreements, there's still innocent children that are no longer with us due to this unwarranted wars that need to end. In Lebanon, a targeted double tap drone strike hit a civilian vehicle, unaliving 2 men and severely damaging 3 arriving ambulances. So even as the ambulance were approaching to help the wounded and the fallen, they were also attacked and, damaged. So concurrently, far-right Israeli nationalists held a massive march through Jerusalem's Old City, chanting violent slogans including "Unalive to Arabs," while a new independent study verified that Israel statistically increased its bombardment of Gaza immediately after temporarily halting direct strikes on Iran. That data proves that localized or diplomatic ceasefire announcements are failing to protect civilian populations on the ground. The use of double tactics, striking a location, and hitting the first responders represents a severe violation of international humanitarian law that threatens to completely destabilize any remaining regional diplomacy. Okay. And these wars are happening all over. All of this chaos is happening all over. And nobody's really talking about it. Nobody's talking about it at all. Now we have, the House rejecting war powers resolution as Iran war costs are surging. It's not only are people losing their lives, but you got to think about your pockets, gas prices, food prices. All of that is going up. People are being affected by this and barely able to put food on the table or fill up a gas tank to get to their jobs or anywhere else they need to go. On a razor-thin tie vote of 212 to 212, the House of Representatives narrowly rejected a new war powers resolution aimed at halting President Trump's unilateral military strikes against Iran. Democratic Representative Jared Golden of Maine broke party ranks to join most Republicans to block the bill. Meanwhile, leaked reports indicate the Pentagon is considering renaming Operation Epic Fury to Operation Sledgehammer. Like, you want to take it a step up? You want to get even more aggressive? In an explicit bid to bypass the 60-day deadline imposed by the War Powers Act. This occurs as the Pentagon comptroller confirms the direct cost of the Iran war has officially climbed to $29 billion. The more wars we have, and as these wars continue to go on, money is being siphoned into war. And nothing good is coming out of these wars at all. It's only hurting people more. So, like what I'm saying, we have more important things that we could be focusing on and talking about in our own respective countries and areas. That's what I hone into, like really trying to, bring home. Like, there's a lot more that we should be focusing on than fighting one another and being petty on these daggone social media platforms. And people are feeling the burn. They're talking about how much it's costing now to fill up a tank of gas. They're talking about how much it's costing now to go in the grocery store and buy groceries. And that is even if the grocery that you're looking for is on the shelf or in the store. Because a lot of this is actually, getting into and having an effect on how we are getting our groceries, our food. Okay, we have seen these strikes to where the ships are not able to cross, they're not able to bring things over, so we can have the things that we need in all different countries, not just here in the United States. So, what do you think about all of that? Like, these are the important things that we should be thinking about, but I don't see anybody really worried about it.
Well, the thing about it is, the healthcare cuts, for example, like programs like Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. Millions of people losing access to doctors' prescription, mental health treatment, and emergency care. The possible cuts, because remember, where they have to find this money somewhere that they're using for this war. There'll be more uninsured people, delayed medical treatment, increased emergency room use, this could cause higher maternal and infant mortality, greater mental health crises and addiction issues, financial hardship from medical debt. Communities that are most affected, obviously, are low-income families, disabled people, veterans, elderly people, rural communities, children, food stamp and SNAP reductions, increased hunger and food insecurity, high reliance on food banks, poorer child nutrition and school performance, which will create increased stress on working families. There is a lot more going on than my accent around here. You know what I mean?
Also, what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
When you were saying, we was having a conversation earlier, about shaming people, right? That may be predicaments, right? That they may have children, they have bills and stuff to pay, and they may not be able to make ends meet. So if they come to platforms, just like everybody else is coming to a platform to create content or be entertaining, and possibly, try to make a little extra on the side, little part-time gig here and there, to shame someone because they are in a predicament like that. This is exactly what I'm talking about. If people had better understanding of what people are facing and up against, then what would be your point for shaming someone if they may need a little extra money to put some food on the table or get household items for their home? A lot of people are in those predicaments, and a lot of times it's not just because of their poor choices. It is because of what we see happening in our government and our political structures worldwide.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, we really already we have increased poverty, greater inequality. You know, this leads to higher crime and social instability. There's an increase on the charities and local government, and a deterioration in public health. This is not a good time for people. I mean, I don't want to be Miss Gloom and Doom, but I am being at the moment. And what people don't realize is if the government is spending 30 billion on a war, that money has to come from somewhere. And it comes from money that's helping these low income families because they're the first to be hit.
Exactly. And to shame someone or make fun of somebody's predicament that may be going through something like that, and to see that someone may be going through something like that and trying to make a better tomorrow for them and their family, and you want to, we can tie all of this into what we're seeing happening as far as how on these platforms, people are just nasty work. And I don't know if it's because they're not educated, they just don't care, or they're just hateful in their heart. Everybody is going through something. And at some point in time, you may have to take a walk in somebody else's shoes. And when it's your time to take that walk and you're in that predicament, you need help. Would you want someone to shame you, drag you, embarrass you, or try to make you feel like you're lesser than because you may be in a predicament or going through something that actually you don't have? I just think we need to grow up or mature. But anyway, let's keep going. We'll get into the second part of this video, like I said, or you can make some commentary before we do. We'll get into the second.
Let's keep going. Otherwise, we'll be here all night.
I know we'll be here too long. All right, y'all. Let's continue. Got about 6 minutes left on this topic, and then we'll go ahead and be getting into Don Lemon. And they're questioning how can Black voters support MAGA. So we'll get into that after this last 6 minutes here on Democracy Now! Be right back.
Patrol resigned Thursday, effective immediately. Michael Banks had served as Border Patrol chief since January 2025, overseeing the Trump administration's violent mass deportation efforts and the deployment of mass federal agents to U.S. cities. In a statement, Banks said his sudden departure would give him, quote, time to enjoy family and life, unquote. His resignation came just weeks after the Washington Examiner reported Banks had bragged to Border Patrol colleagues about paying for sex with prostitutes while traveling in Colombia and Thailand over the course of a decade, prompting an investigation into the claims that ended abruptly last year while Kristi Noem served as Homeland Security Secretary. A federal judge in Washington, D.C. has ordered the Trump administration to return a Colombian woman to the United States after ICE deported her to the Democratic Republic of Congo in April, a country to which she has no ties. District Court Judge Richard Leon ruled that Adriana Maria Quiroz Zapata had likely been sent to the DRC unlawfully, since Congolese officials refused to accept her on medical grounds. She was sent to the DRC anyway. In February, a federal judge ruled that so-called third country deportations are unlawful violations of due process. But in March, an appeals court put the ruling on hold while the Trump administration continues legal challenges. The U.S. Supreme Court's blocked a lower court ruling that would have cut off nationwide mail and telehealth access to the abortion medication mifepristone. The 7-2 ruling on the court's shadow docket preserves the FDA's 2023 policy that lifted a requirement to prescribe mifepristone in person. The ACLU's Reproductive Freedom Project said in a statement, quote, "While it's good news that for now, patients can continue to get this safe medication by mail and at pharmacies, as they have for more than 5 years, We all know abortion opponents are continuing their unpopular and baseless attacks, unquote. ABC News is reporting President Trump is set to drop his $10 billion lawsuit against the Internal Revenue Service in exchange for the creation of a taxpayer-funded $1.7 billion fund to compensate allies of Trump who claim they were improperly targeted by the Biden administration. Under the plan, recipients of the money could include individuals charged in the January 6th insurrection and entities associated with President Trump himself. Meanwhile, Democratic Congressmember Jamie Raskin is introducing a package of anti-corruption bills aimed at putting new checks on the White House. A jury in Chicago has ordered Boeing to pay nearly $50 million to the family of Samia Stumo, which had filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Boeing. Stumo was killed in 2019 aboard a Boeing 737 MAX jet in Ethiopia. The crash came months after another Boeing 737 MAX crashed in Indonesia. Together, the crashes killed 346 people. Samia Stumo was a 24-year-old working in global health development. Her mother, Nadia Milleran, is running for Congress for a second time as an independent in Massachusetts. Samia Stumo was the grandniece of Ralph Nader. In Bolivia, indigenous groups, miners, and unions are leading nationwide protest strikes and roadblocks, demanding the resignation of the Bolivian president, Rodrigo Paz, amid the country's worsening economic and fuel crisis. The protest began over a new law that would have undermined peasant and indigenous land rights. The law was repealed on Wednesday, but the protests are continuing.
We demand the immediate resignation of this treasonous and incapable government because they want to govern us with decrees. We won't allow that. We'll fight to the death, brothers, to remove this treasonous government. Onward to victory.
And in Oklahoma, Richard Glossop walked out of the Oklahoma State Penitentiary on Thursday after nearly 30 years on death row for a murder he insists he did not commit. Glossop previously faced execution 9 times and ate his last meal 3 times before last-minute intervention saved his life. He was freed after a judge granted him a retrial and allowed his release on a $500,000 bond. Richard Glossop spoke briefly to reporters outside the prison that had held him since 1998.
Yeah, I'm just thankful for my wife and my attorneys and just happy. Yeah. Just really happy.
Extremely grateful.
In February, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled Glossop was entitled to a new trial due to errors in his original prosecution. Oklahoma's Attorney General says he's planning to retry Glossop for murder, but would not pursue the death penalty. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. Thanks for watching Democracy.
All right, so that was the second half of Democracy Now! And some of the updates about what has been going on worldwide as of today, May 15, 2016. So from that second segment there, Imani, is there anything that you want to discuss that stood out to you, want to go and review over before we move into our next topic?
Well, apart from the gentleman who worked for the DHS, who had been buying prostitutes and decided to take early retirement, but hey, it's the fact that they deported a Colombian woman to the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yeah.
I mean, words fail me to understand how, especially as they had refused to accept her. I mean, can you imagine being deported that far away to a country that you have no ties to whatsoever?
Mm-hmm.
It's incredulous. I mean, they were trying to do this in the UK, and I think the country, it was Rwanda, But what happened was, it was the Conservatives that had this policy in place, and then they lost the elections, and then the Labour government stopped the deportations. But they were going to deport. I think it might have been asylum seekers and people who are awaiting decisions on their migration to Rwanda. And I mean, that meant people that came in from, places all over the world who were nowhere near Rwanda were going to be deported to Rwanda, but the Labour government put a stop to it.
Is that what that movie was based on, Hotel Rwanda?
I don't know. I never saw that, but no, I don't think it was, because Hotel Rwanda was way before that. But this was a policy that the Conservatives tried to put in place. This third country deportation, not deportation back to your homeland. That I can understand if you are under a deportation order, but deportation to a third party country, it was crazy. That's what stood out to me in that one, and also the man who'd been on death row for 30 years.
Yeah.
And what did they say? 9 times. 9 times he'd eaten his last meal 3 times, but 9 times he'd been scheduled for an execution. Wow! But they're still going to retry him, as they said.
Oh my, there's so many injustices that is happening. And, you got to imagine, I don't know, I think anybody, just try to think, if this person, they're saying they basically are innocent, and you've had to go through that from being innocent, you did not do it, and you going through all of these roller coasters, ups and downs and ups and downs, and you have now spent 30 years of your entire life behind bars for something that you did not do. You know how hurtful that is? And do you know how many people never see or get to walk away from those type of predicaments? Some people are, given life sentences for things that they have not done. It reminds me of that movie Life, with Martin and Eddie Murphy is one of my favorite movies. But I cannot imagine what that may feel like, where you're just sitting there paying for a crime that you did not commit, being, contained for that long, like your life is just washed away from you, just gone. All of that time that you cannot get back. I don't know. There's so many injustices that's happening, and a lot of people can understand. A lot of people may have been in that predicament or know somebody who has been. That is really devastating to me, because it's hard to really wrap your mind around that. But as far as those updates, y'all, we just wanted to go ahead and let y'all listen to a little bit of it. Now we're going to get into some meat and potatoes of the live. The next video we're going to play, like I said, is one of our faves over here as well. We're going to listen to Don Lemon, and he's going to be covering and speaking about, basically asking the question that most of us are asking: how can Black supporters actually sit and support the MAGA movement? So Don won't be by himself. He'll be sitting down with journalist and political commentator Ahmed Baba for a candid conversation about the current state of the MAGA movement and the growing debate around policies that ultimately hurt many of the very people supporting them. So it's just like, you want to continue to support this MAGA movement, and the MAGA madness is what I call it, and still seeing with your own 2 eyes that it's hurting and harming you and your people and your communities, but yet people are still continuing to stay, loyal. I don't understand what that's about. But let's go ahead and listen to a little bit of their conversation. This video is not that long either, just about 18 minutes. So we'll try and break that up. I think maybe we can do it in about, what do you think, half or 3 parts?
We can do half and half on this one.
Yeah, that sounds good. I like half and half. All right, so let's get into the first part here so we can power through, y'all, and we'll be right back.
For the life of me, I cannot understand, and maybe you can explain it to me, how anyone could be black and be a MAGA supporter right now with what has happened, especially with what before that for me, but what has happened with voting rights in this country and what they're doing. I don't get it. And some people are defending it, even black MAGA, black folks, black lawmakers.
Yeah, man. We just watched right before this, the Tim Scott and the Wesley Hunt videos of them basically saying, "Oh, Tim Scott saying I'm still black, and I'm telling you that redistricting is fine," or Wesley Hunt being like, "I'm here to tell you Jim Crow's done," just because like these people have just sold what's left of their soul for this party, and very clearly, I was talking about this on MS Now last night, and just said outright, like Trump is, in my opinion, what I think history suggests is the most openly anti-black president in modern history, especially in recent times. And right now, to be MAGA as a black man or black woman or black person is to be opposing yourself, your very nature. You have a party that is trying to erase your power, and to back them is insane to me. There's no amount of money or power is worth that relinquishing of your dignity, man. I can't. What about you? Can you understand it?
I told you I don't get it, and especially after this, I thought maybe the racist Obama video might do it. I thought my African American might do it. I thought the black countries are shithole countries that might do it. I thought that the discriminating against black people for housing, I thought that might do it. I thought the Central Park, the exonerated 5, that might do it. I thought higher taxes for poor people and fewer services for people who are part of the underserved communities. I thought that might do it, but not even taking, black voting, the ability to have black representation away. That's not doing it. So I don't know if it's part of a cult. I don't know if it's self-hatred. I don't understand that mentality. I don't know. And look, and for Wesley Hunt, of all people, to say, well, Jim Crow's over and I don't see anybody that's racist. There's no black and white signs or something for water fountains. I mean, whatever he said. That's not how you do it. What happens with white supremacy and racism is that it mutates. Mm-hmm. And it evolves into something where it survives. How do we survive? Oh, well, we take the same laws that were meant to protect people who are part of the minority communities or black people, let's just be honest, which then, trickle down to Latino people, Asian people, Indian, all of those rights. We use the same laws and language to discriminate against them, or the same laws that were used to protect them. We use those to discriminate against them. We use those against them. And if they don't understand that, I don't understand how they're even in positions to be lawmakers in this country.
No, that's all spot on. They take these facially neutral laws and basically apply systemic racism to them to claim that we're somehow evolved beyond racism and Jim Crow isn't here to stay. Like we saw very clearly with the GOP Southern strategy, they just stopped saying the N-word pretty openly, but they created all these dog whistles, welfare queens. They went ahead and pushed the same scapegoating of brown and black communities. And then now you have Donald Trump coming in here very openly being as anti-black as you possibly can be. As soon as he enters office, this anti-DEI push, which was not anti-DEI, it was anti-fundamental civil rights. And what people don't talk enough about, Don, is that the federal workforce was nearly 20% black when Trump walked into office. And his federal purges disproportionately impacted and targeted black people. And it just so happens, it is not a coincidence that as those federal purges were happening, black unemployment surged. Trump pretty much created a singular event where he unilaterally raised the black unemployment rate with his federal purges, and then meanwhile signed executive orders urging private sector folks to end their DEI practices. So that also had unemployment ramifications too. So we're talking about not just diluting black political power, but diluting black financial power, black power generally, what Trump has openly targeted here. And man, I get it. Like, I can't understand it either, but like you and I have talked about before, this black conservative thing is a grift. You know, like if you and I immediately, like we talked about before, if you and I were like, you know what, Donald's got a point. We started talking like that next week, we'd be flooded with right-wing cash. They would be trying to recruit us to run for office. That's what these Black conservatives do. That's what Candace Owens did. That's what we see with these people. They saw they're opportunists. And in spite of this anti-Black depravity coming from Donald, they don't care. As long as their pocketbooks are filled and they got their power, man, they don't care.
Byron Donalds. You see, during Jim Crow, the Black family was together. During Jim Crow, more Black people were not just conservative. Black people have always been conservative-minded, but more Black people voted conservatively, Donald said. Donald said. And then he said it was taken out of context, or he just said, he didn't say it was taken out of context. He just said that's not what he said. He said, I was talking about his Black families, he said. I don't know.
Homeschool parents, meet Simply Piano.
Mom?
It's insane. It's insane. You're just saying Black people were better off before the Civil Rights Act? You're saying Black people were better off under Jim Crow? And I tried to confront him in person about this, actually.
You did?
Last year. So last year I was in in Selma for the 60th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. And Byron Donalds, I didn't get a chance to answer the question because he ran off. He had the nerve to stand at the foot of the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and he was attacking pre-clearance, Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act, standing there attacking it. And I tried to ask a question. People were trying to ask questions. Someone in the crowd yelled, you're not like us," to Byron when he was talking, because the Black people were pissed in the audience. But I mean, Byron is another example now running for Florida of just someone who is sold out, man. Like, you know, they try to accuse, they say Black people, all my replies are always, you know, people saying, Black people are still on the Democratic plantation or whatever. When in reality, if you are a Republican right now as a Black person, you are very clearly, you know, selling yourself for a ideology that hates you.
Look, it's similar to the log cabin Republicans, you know, and I can't see how how gay Republicans or gay people can be part of a party that doesn't even believe that they should exist, that doesn't believe that they are, I guess, deserving of the rights of every American. I don't get that, and I just don't understand how MAGA. There are Black MAGA. Look, there's Black MAGA. I don't know if you remember during, I think it was 24 election or whatever, the people were talking, young, Black, and MAGA. So,
oh, yeah.
Wait, what? I mean, there are words that I just won't say here, but I think it's inappropriate. I will say self-hating is one term that I would use for it. Naive is another term that I would use for it. And then a milder term would be pick me is another term that I would use for it.
Yeah, no, I think that's all accurate. I think the self-hatred, you know, is real there. And I also think it's very clearly grift. You know, Nicki Minaj, her numbers. I know you know, you got a little history there with going back and forth with Nicki, but like Nicki has been out here. Her music's not as good. Her numbers going down. She feels like she needs some clout. Guess who's MAGA? Guess who's on stage? You know, we see how it goes. It's about really grift. It's really about the money and the power and the easy avenues there. Because like I've been approached by right-wing, like, believe it or not, like I get more right-wing advertisement requests than I do from liberal groups, because all the money's in the right. And guess who? I might have you watch my content. Like, so like it's very easy to sell out effectively to the right-wing grift where all the money is there. It's heavily funded. It's very easy to just be, you know what, like, you know, I could run for office as a Republican tomorrow and probably win the primary just because they love a token Black person to do it. But you and I have values, so we're not selling out.
All right, so we go ahead and take a quick commentary break right there. Oh my God. So Imani, basically, like I've been saying this whole live, and we always say, like, all of this, if you listen to it, it really ties into a lot of what we see happening in multiple places and spaces, like right here on YouTube and social media space, entertainment industry, music industry, all of these different industries, right? All of these different ways that people are moving and shaking to make it, to climb the ladder, to get more and more and more, right? The selfishness of it all, the greed of it all, and the choices that you have to make when it comes to that, and the level of, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to just sell out for a check? Are you willing to just do anything and everything it takes because the money is good, the opportunities are good, being in alignment with certain individuals people think is what's best and what's great. And we see that happening so much. And for them to sit here and speak about this, it's just like, yeah, we seen it. Some of us, we seen that, like, yeah, this has got to be. And it definitely looks like the reason why these people switch up and change up and take the positions that they take and push the things that they push for some type of selfish monetary gain in some shape or form. Haven't we been seeing so much of this, Imani? And we talk about it all the time. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, what was interesting was the list of Trump's offenses. There was the sneakers, the My African American. There was the fact that he calls quite a lot of the black journalists dumb, mainly females. There were all the things he said
And
about
the B
Miss Harris.
the B word too. The B word, hard B. Yeah.
Oh yes, yes.
The disrespect that people will just eat and swallow.
And I remember when I heard Byron Donald say that during Jim Crow, that black families stayed together. They were more unified together. Yeah, they were unified because there was one enemy that was trying to unalive them. I mean, the fact that he said it was better for black people during Jim Crow, I thought, is he on crack? Sorry, I should have said that, the C word. But, the point is, these black conservative politicians dismissing concerns about gerrymandering or racism and framing it as progress or evidence that discrimination no longer exists is a joke. Talking about the unemployment that has been created since the purge on the government and then going into the private sector and getting them to remove their DEI requirements. This has increased the unemployment of black people. I mean, it really is, a return to white supremacy. Sorry to say it, but it's absolutely ridiculous. And this is why in the UK, we are afraid for people like Nigel Farage's reform to get in, because he's a big supporter of Trump policies. And all they do is have a detrimental effect on our communities. Not only that, as apart from the past controversies with Donald Trump, the Central Park Five, I mean, the list was long, I've forgotten. I just kept saying, oh yeah, I remember that, I remember that. I, like them, I'm in confusion. I'm frustrated. I'm in disbelief. Trying to understand the motivation behind why you would get up and support MAGA. And I remember when I saw a guy in Georgia just before the election that had a t-shirt. He was wearing a t-shirt and it said ninjas with a hard R for Trump.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're like, is this real?
Yeah, like you just kind of scratch your head and you like, this can't be real. Like, what are we doing here? Like, are we serious
There
right
has
now?
to be a grift. There has to be a grift involved. There has to be a grift. There's no other reason why you would be co-signing this BS. There has to be a grift involved.
And to me, it's just like it's the embarrassment of it all. Like, are you not embarrassed? Okay, phrase from one of our folk that we don't. But it's like, are you not embarrassed? You have to be embarrassed by making these type of decisions. Yeah, I
They
know
have
it
no
may be.
shame. There's no shame in their game,
There's
Golden.
no
There is no shame in their game. They don't care. They only care what they get in their pockets and their closeness to power or their perceived closeness to power. And these guys did all this shucking and jiving, and none of them have got a senior role in government.
Not whatsoever. So I had a few notes that I pulled up, right? So, the complete disillusionment with the Democratic establishment. Let's talk about it. So for decades, the Black electorate has voted as a monolith, overwhelmingly supporting the Democratic Party, often by 85% to 90% plus margins. However, a growing sentiment, especially among younger generations, which I am not surprised because, the younger generation, hey, that's all the difference between the things. The difference of, the demographics and, the generation, that plays a big part. It is that this loyalty has been taken for granted. So then we have to get into the symbolic versus the material traps. Many voters feel the establishment offers symbolic gestures like kneeling in kente cloth or declaring Juneteenth as a federal holiday without delivering tangible structural changes to Black neighborhoods, such as radical school funding reform or targeted wealth building initiatives. Then everyone wants to talk about the lesser of the two evil fatigue, right? There is a deep exhaustion with the narrative that minority communities must vote for one party simply out of fear of the other. For some moving toward MAGA, it is a deliberate disruption, a way to force political parties to actually compete for the Black vote rather than assuming they own it. Economic populism and financial desperation. At its core, the MAGA movement is fueled by economic populism. Working class people of all races are feeling the crushing weight of inflation, stagnant wages, and the astronomical cost of housing. So there is a nostalgia for a stable economy, right? Many voters look back at the economic indicators during the first Trump administration, pre-pandemic, and remember lower gas prices, cheaper groceries, and a booming job market. In a state of financial desperation, voters often prioritize immediate pocketbook survival over long-term social or legislative policies. Then there's the appeal of the outsider businessman. The image of the self-made aggressive businessman appeals to individuals who feel that traditional politicians are weak and overly bureaucratic. There is a subculture that respects the hustle and the financial success associated with the brand, viewing it as a blueprint for economic strength. However, even if it comes with a level of economic strength, you're not part of it. It's not for you. It's not for your community. It's not for your people. Wake up. I know it seems like a great sell, and it's supposed to, because that's exactly what they set out to do, sell you a dream, and that is exactly what it is. Now, historic distrust of government institutions. Black Americans have a deeply rooted, historically justified distrust of the federal government and centralized institutions due to legacies like redlining, the Tuskegee experiment, and the COINTELPRO. Now, the Anti-Establishment Alliance. The core of MAGA ideology is deeply anti-establishment, framing federal agencies like the DOJ, the FBI, and the IRS as corrupt, weaponized entities. This rhetoric directly resonates with a demographic that has historically been targeted or failed by those exact same institutions. When MAGA leaders claim the system is rigged, it mirrors a sentiment that Black Americans have felt for generations. However, These are snake oil salesmen. They will tell you whatever it is to get your vote and your trust and your loyalty. And they know that they can play off of these things, your emotions, your feelings, and your struggles, right? Your systemic struggles. And so, of course, they're going to sell you that so they can get whatever it is they want from you. But when you turn around and look at what they're providing, it's not anything that is changing any of those things. It's actually making those things worse. Cultural conservatism and traditional values. The media often portrays the Black community as a monolithical liberal, but culturally and socially, many pockets of the community are deeply conservative, often rooted in the traditional Black church. Then we have to get into the social and the faith-based alignment. Traditional views on family structures, religious freedom, and opposition to rapidly changing gender and social paradigms align cleanly with conservative platforms. The entrepreneurial spirit. There is a strong history of self-reliance and entrepreneurship in Black history, from Booker T. Washington's philosophy to Black Wall Street. The conservatives emphasize on deregulation, lower taxes, small businesses support appeals directly to Black entrepreneurs who feel overtaxed and undersupported by local government. The immigration and resource debate. There is a highly sensitive but major driving factor in urban centers like Chicago, New York, and Atlanta. Competition for local resources as major cities grapple with the influx of migrants and allocate billions of dollars to temporary housing, healthcare, and social services. Many native-born Black residents in underserved neighborhoods feel neglected. These are all of the things, y'all, that are true when it comes to Black communities, right? These are the gripes that they have. And so they know that. They promise that they're going to do something to fix that, all for you to turn around and see if you cast your vote in that direction, they actually are not fixing that. They actually are making that worse. The narrative of abandonment, the talking point used effectively by the right. Look at how fast the government found millions of dollars to help non-citizens, while your schools, community centers, and veterans have been ignored for decades. This directly drives working class voters towards strict border enforcement platforms. So anything and everything that they know you have a gripe about and that you've been suffering through and struggling through and you want to see change in, they falsely promise you to see change within their administration. If you vote for them, if you rock with them, they're going to change all of that for you. They like the genie in the lamp. But what they're seeing now is they lied to you. They lie straight to your face. And, you know, despite we seeing the outcome of them lying straight to your face, there's still people that have a level of hope. Maybe they're waiting for, like, you know, the gotcha moment. There's not going to be a gotcha moment. It's not going to change. It's not going to get better. They are lying to you specifically and purposely so they can get your support, your tax dollars, and your vote. And you're going to get nothing out of it. And they're going to get everything from that vote that they want so they can do what they want, have what they want, and make things and set things up in the image that they see fit. And it's like, how much longer are you going to fall for these tricks from these schemers and grifters? That's what they are. I don't know. You got any more thoughts on this, Imani, before we play the rest of their commentary?
No, like I said, I'm the bread, you're the sandwich filler. Great commentary. There's nothing more I can add to that.
Right.
I just get shocked by it. You know, I'm not shocked when some people are saying this, but I do get shocked by some of the commentary on
I do
this.
as well. I really
Yeah.
do as well. And the fact that, you know, like we talked about earlier, we, you know, we'll talk about some more we're going to split this in half, actually, y'all, because we're already at the 2-hour mark. So after we finish with Don Lemon here, we will come back for a part 2 and add in the other 3 topics and videos that we're going to play, because it did go over a little bit in time. But yeah, I'm really shocked by this, because it's just like, how many times, you know, how are we not seeing it or getting it? Like, how many times are you going to fall for it? And people are making TikTok, people are making content on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. They're out here with signs. Like, they are trying to tell you, like, this is a setup. It was all a lie. Turn back now. But some people
turn back.
Turn back now before it's too late. And it's just forward march ahead, child. We still down. We still believe. And the thing is, when it comes to a lot of these celebrities and these people with these huge platforms, right? Now they're getting a benefit in a cut, right? Because most likely they're getting paid, they're getting sponsored, they're getting some type of reward, right? For them to push these narratives, for them to, you know, convince their following to vote in this direction. However, you are the following that's being convinced by celebrities or influencers to vote in a certain type of way that actually benefits you in no type of way. Make that make sense?
It makes no sense whatsoever, and especially when you have lawmakers co-signing it and saying there's no racism and redistricting is fine. It's great that you'll have no representation in government, that the budgets will decided that will be totally against your needs. It's great.
Because you put all your one person. But let's keep going. All right, so we can probably do this, and then we'll be wrapping after this final conversation with Don here. All right, let's get back into it.
Like that.
Yeah. I was just reading something that I want you to that I want to play for you. I'm going to put it up for you. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. Let's see if we can do it here. There we go. Okay, we're going to share it. Here it is. And these are the black conservatives still riding with Trump. Attendees of recent gatherings in Washington said that they were not bothered by the racist video targeting Barack and Michelle Obama. Blacks for Trump. There's a sign right there. The black GMC Yukon, and you just mentioned this, pulled up outside the National Republican Club of Capitol Hill on Wednesday night, blasting a song featuring Nicki Minaj. As the lyrics spilled out, 5 young black conservatives, a group of political influencers and rising activists, hurried inside the Black Americans for Trump Trailblazer reception. We had to play MAGA Minaj, conservative commentator Javier Zabier DeRusso told Capital B. That's the entity that published this. Laughing, referencing the rapper's recent public support for President Donald Trump, a moment he and his friends see as evidence of black conservatism, of black conservatism's momentum. Earlier that day, many of the same attendees gathered at the White House's annual Black History Month reception. Oh, Lord. Less than 2 weeks after the outrage erupted over a post from the president's Truth Social account depicting Barack and Michelle Obama as apes. The latest in a series of controversies in which racist tropes were amplified on social media by members of the Trump administration. And earlier this month, Mississippi Today reported that the Trump administration urged the National Park Service to remove the word racist from descriptions of Medgar's killer, a known Ku Klux Klan member. How on earth? And when I saw, do you remember that Black History Month celebration, the video from that? Yeah. I was like, who are these?
Yeah, dude, I want to say it so bad. It's like, it's people who think like they can, you have some proximity to whiteness, I guess, and you or power, and you somehow are just welcomed, but it invalidates all the oppression you face. Like, I don't get it. I just, like, what do you think is going to come of this? Like, you're going to get tossed aside. You know, Tim Scott did all that groveling. You know, he went on stage, said, I love you. Oh, I just love you, Trump. And it's like, those videos last forever, bro. What did you get? You didn't even get VP. They chose Vance. They chose like the most mediocre white guy possible over you, Tim Scott. And where are you now? You know, like, these people they get cast aside. They get totally cast aside. And in the end, you know, I really think Omarosa was like, you know, she's since turned on him, but it's like, was one of the first cases of that, you know, where it's like a black person going ride or die for Donald and then realizes that they're just expendable, you know?
Yeah, but you know, she brought that on herself. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
And wow, look, I know Omarosa. We were friendlier on friendlier terms before before Joy Reid and I, not Joy Reid, before Simone Sanders and I did the It's Black History Month.
Oh
thing,
yeah, that's one of the best clips of all time, of course.
But this is the Shears. That's the Shears thing at the oof, Lord. Oh no. Anyway,
just seeing, it's just like, you just want to like take them, you just want to talk to him, be like, explain to me what this is about for you. Like, I just can't, it's just sad, you know, it's just sad, to be honest. Like,
yeah. Yeah, but look, I think, I guess Omarosa was Omarosa the canary in the coal mine. No, she wasn't, because there were blacks for Trump and stuff before. Do you remember Paris Denard? And do you remember
Paris Denard was in one of your other famous clips,
Yeah.
the Mark Lamont Hill one with the Cheesecake Factory clip.
That's Paris Denard, yes.
Yeah. Oh man, so like, yeah, there's a lot of, and there's still some I see on some of these CNN panels as well. There's still some I see around. And you know, I would love to just talk to one and just kind of try to figure it out, because like, I can never really get down past the surface of the why. Like, if he's literally trying to legislate away your power and your existence, like, is it really just all about your own personal riches and your own furtherment? Is that all you care about?
Yeah, there's one that I would like to play for you where that they are basically screaming 4 more years for the president. But I wish you could hear, you can't hear it, but on this one that I want to play for you, that's what they're saying. They're chanting 4 more years, and this is again at the White House. I don't know.
Wait, did I just get a personal stylist?
I don't know what's going on in this world, but yeah, this is one where they're saying 4 more years on this one. Yeah.
They're saying overturn the Constitution for this white man that hates us.
Yeah. There it is.
Like, it's just so embarrassing, and these people are gonna have to like live with this in the future. Like, we're gonna come to a time, and right now we're in the thick of it, but I really do think, you know, decade or two from now, we're gonna come to a time where people like those who enabled this are gonna have like a reckoning, you know, where it's gonna be
think
like,
so?
I hope. I mean, if things go well over the next, you know, few years, like, he's really taking it to extremes. I mean, especially black. I think already people are starting to. I mean, you see all the comedians abandoning Trump, and you know, the polling going against him. I think, but we're gonna get to a point where it's pretty indisputable, and then I think especially black people are gonna have to reckon with, like, you enabled this anti-black lunatic that you know, what he said about Somalis, you know, just the way he's engaged generally. And again, like, even like people say, oh, it's about, like, again, I get that argument. Some who say, the black conservatives say, oh, it's about business, it's about the, you know, the tax system or whatever and whatnot. But homeboy's targeting black unemployment. Like, he's raised the black unemployment rate, so there's no monetary benefit for y'all either. He's raising prices. So what are we doing here? Like I can maybe understand. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
Like I said, I can maybe, like, I can understand like the. Sorry, go ahead.
Nothing is a delay.
Oh yeah, so I can understand the like the grifters and the politicians that are backing him because they're doing it for self-interest, but the everyday black person, there's nothing in it for you. What are you doing?
Who, me?
No, not you. The everyday
what are you
black
doing?
person.
Oh yeah, I'm playing Tim Scott because the words are up on the screen. That's why you can read.
I was saying, yeah. I was saying the everyday black person. What are you doing? Like, I was asking like, to the everyday black person that's supporting Trump, what do you get out of this? What are you doing? You know, like, what do they get out of it?
See it on the faces of the people who were in the Black History Month celebration. I think you could see it in their faces because they're all like this, like, Look how close I am to whiteness. Look how close I am to power. Oh my gosh, I'm just like them. And it ain't so. That's why I was like, so look, we're going to table this, and I want you to figure out for our next talk why some of the blacks are supporting what's happening in our country right now. And I'm being serious, especially after this major blow to black political power and access for black people having representation and access to the voting booth, to the voting process, how anyone black or of color could support this president. That's what I would like to know. And what's happening now.
Yeah, I'm going to take it as a homework assignment. It'll be my future life work to try to
I'm sending you a workbook,
figure this
all right?
out. I got to figure this out because Jesus Christ, I don't get it.
See you, man. Thank you so
All
much.
right, brother. Good talking to you.
All right, y'all. So that wraps that up there, the conversation with Don Lemon. But all jokes aside, man, everything they said, I second that notion. I am really trying to figure it out, and understand why. And there's so many things that we see, so many things. I got some notes and stuff here, but I'm gonna let you go ahead and go first, Imani, before we wrap it up, before I read these notes. Give me some of your thoughts and opinions on this.
Well, there was a singular theme running through all today's stuff. And basically, I mean, this will be my final thoughts for the whole of what we've seen so far.
Right.
All today's videos remind us of something simple, but it's essential to remember. Politics isn't abstract. It shapes people's lives. And I'm talking about globally. Whether we're talking about voting rights, and obviously this is US based, voting rights, redistricting battles, media responsibility, or global conflicts, the common thread should be accountability. And every community deserves fair representation, honest information, and leaders who respect the weight of their decisions. We've heard some very strong opinions today, Stu, and we've heard some sharp criticism of, individuals, public individuals and people, and some difficult truths. But underneath all of this is a shared expectation that the institutions in the US, I'm talking about, from Congress to the courts to the press, should serve the public with integrity. And that
Right.
includes protecting the right to vote, safeguarding civil liberties, and demanding transparency from anyone who holds power. So, no matter where you stand politically, the responsibility is the same. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay aware of how policy choices affect real people. Democracy only works when the public pays attention and when we insist on fairness, facts, accountability from everyone who speaks in our name. So, as we close out today on this wonderful Friday, participation is power, awareness is power, and the more we understand the systems around us, the better equipped we are to shape the future that we want to live in. And that goes for anyone who is in the world who is free to vote and elect officials. Your vote really does matter, and it does count for something. And people died for some of us to get that vote. So that's what I think people need to remember.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And to piggyback off of that, with my final notes that I have for all of this, we're gonna break it all down one by one. The very important things that I want, especially Black people, to remember is the severity of this administration and the situation we're in, and how important it is for you to vote and think deeply before voting for a certain side that does not have your best interest in mind. because we need to get into the systemic destruction of voting rights. Okay. Like you just said, Imani, this is what our ancestors have fought for, marched for, and even put their lives on the line for. You cannot separate political power from the right to vote. Right now, under the banner of election integrity, there is a coordinated state-by-state assault on minority voting access, dismantling the Voting Rights Act. We are seeing aggressive legal challenges targeting Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, the very law that prevents states from drawing maps that dilute Black voting power. That's number one, right? Then modern day gerrymandering, by packing Black voters into a single district or cracking them across multiple white districts. Politicians are systemically erasing Black legislative representation. As Senator Cory Booker, which we didn't get to his yet, we'll get to his tomorrow, but also D.L. Hughley pointed out, this isn't just standard politics. It is calculated effort to ensure minority communities lose their voice in government. If you can't vote them out, you cannot hold them accountable. Let's talk about the erasure of history and truth, the war on DEI and wakefulness, the heavy focus on eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion, and banning certain aspects of Black history from schools is not just a cultural debate. It is an ideology scrubbing, controlling the narrative by criminalizing the teaching of systemic racism, redlining, or the full brutal truth of Jim Crow. The movement attempts to rewrite American history. It didn't go down like that. The intent for this, if you can convince a new generation that the systemic racism never existed, you can justify completely eliminating the laws that have been designed to fix it, like affirmative action, minority business grants, and fair housing projects. It isolates Black achievement and frames any systemic failure as a personal defect rather than a structural trap. Now, the return to hyper-punitive law and order. The platform heavily relies on the rhetoric of mass criminalization, which historically has always devastated Black families. And their playbook is promising to unleash unchecked police power, stripping away federal oversight of corrupt police departments, and returning to harsh mandatory minimums directly mirrors the 1980s and 90s playbook that fueled mass incarceration. The results of that is that when the justice system loses its guardrails, Black and brown communities overwhelmingly bear the brunt of police brutality and wrongful convictions. Just look at the decades of misconduct exposing cases like Richard Glossop's. Economic policies that broaden the wealth gap. While the rhetoric promises working class jobs, the actual legislative math tells an extremely different story. Tax cuts for the ultra wealthy. The core conservative economic strategy relies on massive deregulation and tax cuts for the corporations and billionaires, starving and safety nets. To fund those tax cuts, federal programs that support public education, affordable health care, child care subsidies, and urban infrastructures are slashed because systemic racism has historically kept the median wealth of Black families significantly lower than white families, stripping away the public infrastructure. Disproportionately locks Black families out of the upward mobility. And the truth about trying to take us back, y'all know we've been hearing that more than once. When the central slogan of a movement is to return to a previous era of American history, it is completely valid and historically accurate for Black people to ask, back to when? Was it back to the 1980s during the war on drugs? Is it back to the 1950s before the Civil Rights Act? Is it back to the 1800s during post-Reconstruction when Black political gains were violently wiped out by Jim Crow? Historically, whenever America makes a massive leap forward in racial progress, like the Reconstruction era or the Civil Rights Movement, it is almost always followed by a violent, legal, or cultural white backlash designed to reclaim dominant power. Many political analysts argue that we are witnessing right now is the modern iteration of the exact historical backlash. So, what do we say, y'all? We have to be honest. While a brother or a sister might be voting MAGA because they're struggling to buy groceries today, we cannot ignore the larger machine they are stepping into. The machine itself is fueled by policies that are actively dismantling our voting rights, erasing our history, and defunding our communities. You can't fix your pocketbook by supporting a system that is trying to rewrite your freedom. And that is my final words on that, y'all. I don't have anything else to say. I'm getting a little bit hoarse. But overall, we seeing this play out everywhere we go. Our people are participating in part of the problem. We know what they have in store and what they have always wanted to do and where they have always wanted us to be placed. And we are actually getting back to a time where we are helping them single-handedly put our own people in the bottom of the totem pole and remaining to stay there. Like, I don't understand why we're not getting that. We're not seeing that for what it is. We are allowing it. We are participating in it. We are ignoring it. And we are going back. And it's because we are allowing them to drag us back. We are not fighting and screaming and scraping and scratching not to go. We almost are saying, let's get on board the midnight train back to what? The plantation.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too.
Sorry.
I'm saying,
I
like,
start singing Gladys Knight for you.
Yeah, we leaving on that midnight, Georgia. It's the midnight train to the plantation. Is that where you want to go? Is that where you want to be?
Oh my God. Well, listen, let's we will come back actually and finish this off. And I promise tomorrow I will give you a UK news roundup on the political situation that's going out there. We've had a very long live day today. I think we've done about 4.5 hours of live, so I think that's enough for one day. And thank you for allowing me to join you and give my input, which was, like I said, I'm the bread, she's the sandwich filler.
And let me just go ahead and say this right now. So one of the things that's important for us to do is to acknowledge one another's talents, lift each other up, and be proud to support one another and never want to feel as though we got to be the star of the show. That's never my energy. And one thing that I can say about Imani is she is extremely educated and intelligent, and she does very great research, and she puts in hard work and effort. And us working as a team, I appreciate each and every moment and minute that she puts into us doing some of these political lives that we do and other lives that we come on and do as well, whether it's celebrity, Black history in general, you name it. Okay, so I want to just go ahead and tip my hats off to her. Nobody's hard work should ever go praised and unnoticed. And so this is a very, very great person who is amazing in all that she does. And I enjoy the time that we spend speaking off of the platform and the time we spend together here on these platforms and having these conversations that are really important that we see eye to eye on. And it's always a good time when we do it. But yes, it is Friday. Girl, we have, like you said, total of like 5 hours worth of lives. So we have given all we need to give to the YouTube platform for today. And we are going to go on and have a wonderful weekend. And I wish everybody else has one as well. Go out, do something fun, spend time with your friends and your family. Just have laughs, joy, and love. That's what it's about. But also keep your eyes open and your ears open and pay attention to what's really going on out here, y'all, because it is serious. If we can't let one thing fly over our heads or pass us by, we have to stay on the swivel.
Thank you for that, Golden. It's been a real pleasure doing these lives with you. You know, as I've said before, politics was right in my will bag because I was in financial markets before, and you had to know global politics. It's good. I mean, the situation isn't great, but I do believe it will get better. And I do believe you have to make people aware of what's going on. And if we can contribute to that and I can help do that, you know, it's what I would want to do. I like to keep people informed. People need to stay informed, and whatever I can do, I will do to help that, because this situation wouldn't have happened if more people were informed on the importance of marking that box. But
Absolutely.
it's Friday, and even though it's late here, I'm going to have a few shots of tea. Not really. I'm going to have a few drinks, and yeah, going to I hope everybody enjoys themselves this evening. Stay safe. Stay very, very, very blessed in whatever you do, and look forward to coming back and talking more to you soon.
Yes, indeedy. We're going to go ahead and turn up and have a good weekend, y'all, because it's Friday night. Just got paid.
So
Y'all,
yeah,
you know me
I'm gonna
always.
put my
So
dancehall tapes on now. I'm gonna go and start dancing.
yeah, y'all, we
Anyway,
gotta.
we gotta go. I speak
Thank
to
you
you. Look,
so
you speak to you guys
much.
soon, and take care. Keep your head on a swivel, and all you
Yep.
tired ass people out there, yeah, that have
Yeah.
got too much time on your hands. What you need to do is go look, work, look a job, do something with yourself instead of spending your time pushing your nose hole in things that don't concern you. Yeah, they don't concern you. You should not be opening up your long jawbone to talk about Mama D. Who do you think you are? You tired ass people with nothing better to do with your spare time. Anyway, apart from that, everybody else have a wonderful weekend. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
indeed.
And
Per
the rest
usual.
of you, you need God. You need Jesus in your life. Speak to you soon. Take care.
Bye,
Sorry, I
girl.
can't help myself sometimes.
No, you're fine. For real, for real, for real. We got to tell it like it is. You are fine. But yes, we are going to have a great evening and a great weekend, child. And haters, they gon' hate. And players, they gon' ball.
Yeah, and for all of you out there who are so busy checking out what we're doing, go and look up a track by Beanie Man called Hypocrite. Yeah, the lyrics are specially for Uno. Okay, bye.
All right, y'all. We're gonna end it with a bop per usual. Thank you so much, Imani, for joining. Thank everybody who came to listen. Even if you're listening from the bush, we appreciate it as well. I hope you enjoyed the content today. Everybody have an excellent weekend. Be blessed. Stay safe. Head on swivel. Eyes and ears open. We got this, y'all. We got this. All right, y'all. Let's end it with a bop. Talk to y'all on the next one. Golden and Imani out. Bye.
Bye.
That's a safe bet. From the impossible to the it is done. The battle's already over. The victory is won. So let the strings soar. Let the heavens open wide. I got the creator of the universe on my side. It's here to stay. The morning is here. They don't know her like I do. Nah. Golden. She moved through the city with her hair held high. Pretty brown skin with a storm inside. Everybody see the glow, they don't know the pressure. Smile so warm, but her heart no weather. Late nights riding while the skyline blurred. Trying not to cry when the memories occurred. Had to learn fast, everybody ain't loyal. Some people love you long as they control you. Now she move careful, energy expensive. Too many fake vibes hiding in the friendship. Used to give love with her hands wide open. Now every scar got the whole vibe frozen. They don't know her like I. No, they don't know her like I. She goes by golden. Soft voice, deep soul, hope or glowing. She goes by golden. City lights dancing with her heart stay open. Long dark roads, but she still stay focused. Everybody watching, but they don't really know her. Too much grace with the games they throwing. Real love, rare soul spirits, they got it. Beautiful soul, but the pain left marks in it. Mirror tell the truth when the lights go dim. All the things she carry weight heavy within. She survived nights she don't even speak on. Still finding peace while the whole world ain't wrong. Funny how the love disappear when you're healing. Funny how the fate come around when you win. Now she trusts God more than people intend. Just cause smiles hot to me and hitting the big. She's still soft-hearted, but she way less naive. Can't keep pouring love where there's nothing received. Still dancing slow through the hurt and confusion. Trying not to lose herself, chasing illusions. She survived the fire. Still glowing through this room. Still still dangerous. Still chosen. She goes by golden. Slow so deep made the whole room notice. Heavy lies couldn't break what was chosen. Still standing tall while the whole world folding. She goes by golden. Heartbreak turned to pentatic. Now the tears got rhythm when she's singing. And they still don't know her like that. They still don't know her like that. But at the end of the night, when the lights fade, when the city quake, when the tears dry, we still got